One of the key elements is trust, and that's represented by this apple. It's a piece of fruit, and it ripens and flourishes. It looks beautiful, and it can sustain when eaten. But if not attended to, it can wither. It can wither on the tree, it can fall to the ground, it can become sour. And the importance of looking after it and embracing it in an appropriate way means that that is trust. One of the other elements we have here is the elephant, and elephants have a very long-term memory. They find their way through things. They know and remember where water and the like is, and it's going to be vital for people to develop trust in ways that has integrity, because it's long lasting, but at the same time it can disappear in an instant. So these traditional ways and foot and paths that the elephants make, and the majesty that comes and is associated with something like that, demonstrates how important trust is, to make sure that it is an ethos, a tradition that we build, a culture that we support. And noting the challenge that elephants face at the moment, they are again a representation of how in today's world we need to treasure these important traditional things. With that in mind, this foil looks like a mirror, represents a mirror, and trust reflects us. The level of trust that is there is a reflection of the relationship that we have. It stands both one side of the mirror, to the extent that it is of itself the thing, and at the same time is a reflection of many other elements. So this element of the mirror is how we operate, and is a mirror, almost a window as well, into all that we do. As we look into that mirror, this highlighter means that we must emphasize, highlight the importance with which we care for one another, and the investment that we make into that relationship and running it well. In terms of that investment of our time and what we get out of it, I have a measure here, a tape measure, and it's going to be important that we constantly review and measure the level of trust with which we operate, how we feel about it, and be able to hear from others how they feel about their sense of the trust that is within our relationship. So being able to measure that and then talk about it is going to be absolutely key. And this multi-tool here represents the importance of us being able to do something about it, have a function where we are able, having measured it, to make sure that we can improve it. It may be good and we can move from good to great. It may be poor and we need to move from poor to good. But we need some tools to be able to make sure that we can work together to make things better. This little model of a warthog, I think, is important in as much as it recognises that there is a challenge to be had, and sometimes those challenges will not be easy to face. There will be a feistiness, but it's going to be really important if we are to live in the world that we do and make it better, that we're able to stand up for both ourselves and for others. And the feistiness of a warthog, being able to address that full on, face on, I think represents how we might look to embody the character that is there, to be able to demonstrate resilience and be able to work with some difficult topics, face those difficult topics, face them with courage, and be resilient in doing so. It does mean at times that we will need to juggle a number of things, and that's what these juggling balls represent. That as we get into dealing with the trust and those issues, there will be many things that come up. We'll need to be able to juggle them, but if we've got the opportunity to measure where we are, understand the importance of what we are doing and why we are doing it, we can remain resilient and then be able to reflect together so that we can endeavour not to drop any balls and make sure we can juggle all that's in front of us. And in doing so, this little candle is a representation that with these tools, being able to understand why we feel this is important, measure what we're endeavouring to do, work on it, and make sure that we've got the resilience, or look to have the resilience to take these things forward. This little candle is there to show that trust and this way of working can light our way. And in doing so, in lighting our way, enables us to play and provide beautiful music that we can share, that others can hear, that others can learn from, in terms of having music to dance to through the dance of life, to become part of, to join in with, for us to encourage the inclusivity of this is the ethos, the culture, the way of working that will take us into a broader, wider scope of people trusting one another to see what might emerge. And when it does emerge, this ink is for us to be able to document that, and having the measurement, having the tools, being able to share and articulate this way that we want to work together. This ink provides us with an opportunity to share that in ways that others can learn from, as well as having got the music and the dance that they are part of and the sound. This in itself enables us to be able to share that to a broader, wider audience for their reflection, their consideration. And when we do that, the sellotape that comes into play demonstrates how we can join things up, that people can come together, both in terms of this initial group and that stickiness that one might offer them, that they are able to come and be increasingly resilient with this stickiness, but also as we share this more widely through the ink and the way of working, it will enable others to join up. And when they do so, the battery here enables us to create an energy that comes forth and develops, which creates this rubber band, and that is the band of brothers, band of sisters, band of being that enables us all to stretch to limits that we may not have stretched before. We can extend what we do, and in doing that we can bring more people together as we create different shapes to our relationships that we can then explore and that we're able to work with, because we have this solid foundation. And this stone, this beautiful smooth stone that was in fact given to me by somebody who wanted to share and has been with me for many years. I think this stone is the touchstone to the extent that in working with trust, developing this pattern that we have here, that we're able then to always make sure that trust is our touchstone, that we're able to have one perspective, one way of considering how we might be, both in terms of how we feel ourselves and how others may feel in terms of that engagement and relationship. So that's our touchstone, to come back to trust all the time, and that will then enable us to offer people love and care and a celebration of all that can be good and all that we can do together, and that's represented by this card.